Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today. Today is Monday. I'm recording this on Sunday because today is the start of my new day at work. I'm working full time now for Intel, so we'll have to see how the videos go. I think I've got a plan where I still should be able to make quite a lot of videos, especially in the mornings. We'll just have to see how it goes. But this is being pre-recorded, which I'll probably do for Monday's video, just pre-record it on Sunday, and then we'll see how many videos I can make in midweek. It's going to be difficult, but we'll see how we'll see where things take us anyway. So today I wanted to talk about this Optic Gaming situation in more detail, because over the last week or so they have not been playing great in the Pro League, let's put it that way, playing pretty damn poor Call of Duty to be honest, and the fact that this is happening is very intriguing and very probably disconcerting for many Optic Gaming fans, especially with CWL Miami just around the corner. Starts on July the 19th through to the 21st, and then Champs less than a month after that. So a very interesting couple of weeks ahead of us here. They had their final week of the Pro League, before which they'd already locked in their #1 seed, so who really cares? They were 14-4, dominating their side of the division, but at the end of the day, they had not the best performances this week, and Crimsix says the following. They go 2-2 on the week. We'll have a look at their results in a second, and a lot of people have been talking a fair bit about these results and exactly what it could mean for Optic Gaming and why this is occurring and why this kind of attitude may be pretty worrying. Now, of course, this is only the Pro League, this isn't a big event, they still have time to prepare, but really what I want to talk about is the likelihood of them bouncing back from this relatively poor showing into Miami and being able to take on the best teams in the world once again. So, let's have a look through this. So, Crimsix says the following after their match loss against United on the final day. They lost 3-1. Team has been mentally checked out after securing first. No comment on the gameplay because we really aren't playing or scrimming at all before these matches. Obviously it's unacceptable, but those matches actually really mean nothing. So, okay, fair enough. The matches don't really mean anything. They'd already qualified for the #1 seed. But at the same time, this is a prime opportunity to get good practice. The teams that are in the first side of the crossplay, they actually arguably have less opportunities, or they are somewhat disadvantaged because they do not have the final week of the league, which is very, very close to CWL Miami, because we have this week, then we have next week, then we have Miami at the end of next week. So the teams that are in the first set of cross division, they have a whole week extra where they don't have any chance to play on LAN. Whereas Optic Gaming and the people that were playing this week, they have the ideal opportunity because they're playing on LAN with the new patch, with the new SORG. This is the perfect opportunity to get some great practice against some really good teams in a LAN environment before the CWL Miami event. And a lot of teams have taken that approach, but it seems Optic Gaming have not particularly. And the reason why they haven't taken this so seriously is difficult really to put your finger on, but I'll give it a go, because some people have been talking about this. So anyway, like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, because I'm sure you'll have some interesting ones on this, much more interesting ones than I will, I'm sure. So, okay, one thing here. Firstly, this Optic Gaming team has always had these kind of undroppable players, and I feel like when you have players that are undroppable, it's very difficult to maintain your level of, mental checked-inness and really concentrating and really going hard all the time. Because guys like Scump, guys like Crim, guys like Karma, guys like Dashy, I mean, TJ's the only one that's really possibly replaceable, and he's been playing very, very well on the whole the last couple of events. But the rest of the team, you really cannot make a roster change with, and when you have that being the case, it can be quite difficult for people to keep their individual motivations up. Of course, it also depends on your individual stance and your personal motivation and all of that stuff, because there's players on, you could say, 100 Thieves, which are undroppable, but still they're putting in an absolute shift. Now, of course, Optic having these undroppable players is probably some sort of a disadvantage, and whether you guys agree that undroppable or not is up to you, but I feel like in the long term, that is going to cause some issues, and maybe it is causing some issues at the current time. So anyway, these are their results this week. Let's just go through it here. These are the Optic Gaming matches since the start of CWL Anaheim. They get a reverse sweep win on Units. They do pretty well beating EG and Heretics. Then they beat FaZe in a very close match. Lose to 100 Thieves. Then end up losing again to Gen.G to go out of the tournament in the 3rd place position. Now, Optic have not made a grand finals this entire year, And given the caliber of players on their team, that is kind of worrying. And especially given their performances this week. They beat Heretics in a 3-2 fashion. It was not convincing at all. Elevate they should have lost to, I mean, unless the Whalers thing happened where he tried to shoot the guy on bomb but he didn't see the guy defusing, or whatever, that weird situation, game 5 round 11, shouldn't have happened. They should have lost to Elevate. And then they go against Envy and E United, get completely mollywopped by Envy, and then pretty comfortably beaten by E United in the end as well, who also weren't looking necessarily on top form because they got 3-2'd by Gen.G earlier on in the week. So, you know, very interesting scenario. But Optic Gaming clearly are not playing at the same level in this past week 12 as they were at the start of Anaheim, and really Anaheim on the whole. So we want to see some bounce back from them if they are going to compete with 100 Thieves. They've probably been the team that has come closest to competing with 100 Thieves the entire year. And look, this is a United's for comparison. These are their matches at Anaheim, of course. They end up losing to Optic Gaming to go out top 6, but then this final week, they 3-0 Reciprocity. They do lose a close match against Gen.G, but the other games, they 3-0 Midnight, a solid team, and then they 3-1 Optic Gaming. Clearly, these guys are putting in a shift. They also didn't have the best results at Anaheim, the one they would have wanted, but they're really focused on overhauling 100 Thieves as the best team in the game, no doubt about that. And Optic Gaming have been switching around all these roles and changing all these different things about their team, trying out new maps, but it doesn't really work trying out new maps unless you're actually going to play your hardest and try and implement them into your map pool, which I don't really think Optic Gaming are. And, you know, like Pac-Man said, maybe when you're talking about players or teams that are very, very close to beating 100 Thieves, might not be the best thing to do to keep swapping around these roles. Probably your roles are pretty damn good. You've got roles on which people are comfortable. It's now just about building up the teamwork and the discipline and just practice, because you know what 100 Thieves are doing. They are putting in an absolute shift. They won the tournament at Anaheim, and then straight away they're watching VODs like 20 minutes later to make sure they're getting everything right. I don't know if that's true, but these are the type of guys that 100 Thieves are. Yes, they did take a week off here, but after they won Anaheim and they came up pretty flat in their first series against EG, but after that they turned up very convincingly, smoked FaZe, beat LG, an impressive LG team, even though you felt like 100 Thieves always had an advantage in that series, even though they kind of threw away a couple games, and then they just destroy UYU. So obviously 100 Thieves are putting in a shift. These guys did not lose a single series at Anaheim, probably had one of the most dominant tournaments we've really ever seen, didn't even go to a single game 5, they only lost 4 maps over the course of the entire tournament to some very, very strong squads indeed, with the exception of Elevate, but even they can win a map off anyone, it seems, at any time. So, these are the kind of teams that Optic Gaming are up against to become the best team in the game, and they really just weren't on the same page this week. Now, I want to change tack just slightly before we look at some Reddit comments here, because Slasher tweets the following. He tweeted something initially about baiting his teammates, but it was kind of difficult to decipher what it meant, so Deserte did an article on it, and then Slasher replies saying, "I was actually calling out the fans for thinking it's okay to just constantly bait your teammates, wasn't about a specific player. TJ at Dashy," and then Formal says, "Does Brandon ever slide in first, TJ?" Now, you may be thinking, well, this is just banter, whatever, but maybe there is a real point behind this. Of course, there's no denying that Dashy is one of, if not the most talented player in the entire game. His shot is something else. It's just fabulous to watch. But is he necessarily playing the game in the correct way is a question we could be having. And also, when I said Optic hasn't made a grand finals the entire year, I meant 2019 rather than, the entire season. So just to keep that clear, of course, they did win CWL Vegas back in December. So, just to clear that up, I realised I just said that. But yeah, so look, Optic did win a championship at the start of the year. Dashy was just another beast. But it has to be said that, yes, he might be the best player in the game, but if you can't get the activity out of him and if you can't get the results from the squad, then there's probably something going on. This is a comment from Graffiti Shots on the Reddit thread that talks about this. They aren't. Dashy isn't going to fix anything in that part, which is why it needs to be called out. Realise it ain't working. They need to go watch some 100 Thieves Gen.G VODs. One great Slayer doesn't win anything if the teamwork isn't there. The teams who have figured this out are the ones shining. So I think that's probably a fair comment. And these are some more comments on the whole Crimsix, that kind of attitude that he displayed in that tweet. Not necessarily from him individually, but at least from the rest of his team. It's possible that, Crimsix is on this pursuit, right? He's searching pushing for this 40 bomb. That's what he's going for. 40 world champion, or not 40 world championship, 40 championship victories. He's on something like 34, 35 or something like that. Maybe he has the drive and he has the motivation, but do the rest of his team? I would say it's difficult to say. So this is what Levy Viper says. They chalk a full week worth of the last bit of LAN practice before the two biggest events of the year because they've secured first. I mean, I think that's fair enough. And then we have, you know, this, which is a pretty good comment from JB, breaking things down there. So, Heretic series, the start of the week, usual shaky series. Elevate came round, and honestly, it might show a win on the official standings, but everyone knows it should have been an L. Optic looked severely out of practice. I get the guys are expanding their map set, but at least be competitive. I felt like they just got smoked, especially by Envy. If you want to expand your map set, you need to constantly practice them with Miami, and then the two biggest tournaments of the season around the corner. You'd think this practice on LAN is perfect, but instead they're slacking off. I believe in those players and I just want them to get their heads right before Miami. So I think that's a fair comment if you're an Optic fan right now. I think they will bounce back at least to some degree in terms of their level, because they will at least put some more of a shift in. But, you know, at the end of the day, 100 Thieves are probably the team grinding the most in the entire game. They're the best team in the game. And it really shows. And if Optic aren't doing that for whatever reason, now is the perfect opportunity for you to be doing that. There really is no excuses. And this is what Mark Gold says. If you watch the 100 Thieves 0 to 100, Kenny said 100 Thieves stay behind and scrim 2 or 3 times after their matches because LAN practice is the best. Attitudes like this and 100 Thieves will smoke Optic again. We looked at that bracket a couple of days ago now. And yes, Optic, if they defeat the winner of, I think, Heretics and whoever comes out of the lower bracket, which may be LG, they will play the winner of 100 Thieves and FaZe. And, well, it's quite likely, I would say, that 100 Thieves will be playing against Optic in the second round. And if those matches do go to plan, and, you know, let's be honest here, Optic have been probably the closest competitors to 100 Thieves, at least in the individual series, but right now 100 Thieves just keep looking better and better, and Optic are undoubtedly looking worse than they were before. So they realise that if they win an event and don't play better at the next event, then they won't win again, because all the other teams are going to be getting better and studying their gameplay. This is talking about 100 Thieves. This is the right mentality. Probably a fair comment there from Silly Sausage. Moving onwards here, this attitude versus Slasher's attitude says a lot. Now, Slasher obviously gets, he's a pretty controversial figure within the community. Some people really like him, some people don't. But at the end of the day, you have to say his attitude is a winner's attitude. Like, he won't take anything less than 100%. He won't take anything less than a victory at the end of the day. And I can guarantee you, some of those guys on that Optic team, at least 1 or 2, that's not their attitude. And maybe that's for good reason, but at the end of the day, if you want to be the best team in the game, this has to be your attitude. So this is the final comment I want to go through before I end the video here. I watched Scump say on stream, we have first, and there's no way we can drop lower than that, so who cares? Not trying to bash Scump, but he's trying to do this good cop thing with TJ and Dashy to get their approval instead of being a leader on the team, and it's starting to affect the team. He gets on, cracks jokes, messes around in scrims, and gets off. Maybe it wouldn't matter if he was more individually talented, but in all honesty, he's pretty inconsistent in this game for someone who's supposed to be a slayer. Now, I think that Scump honestly is pretty good in this game on the whole. He's not like a spectacular player, but he does his role pretty well. He's still a very talented player, of course, but he's not hitting the level that he was in previous games. And I think that the attitude is something of a reason for that. They literally don't deserve to win with that attitude. 100 Thieves have won back-to-back and they're still going hard. Practice how you play. It is what it is. Back when Scump was by far the best sub in the game, that attitude was acceptable because the talent made up for it, except at Champs. Now he's mostly a shell of himself. He went off at Vegas and stopped getting on for 10s and started messing around in scrims. So that's where I wanted to leave you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new as always. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.